One morning, you walk out onto your porch with a coffee in hand, only to freeze mid-step. There, tucked quietly beneath the eaves of your roof, is a beehive, fresh, active, and humming with life. No warning, no invitation. Just suddenly there. At first, you might feel a mix of wonder and concern. Is it dangerous? Is it random? Should you call someone to remove it? But before you act, pause. Because in Feng Shui and in the quiet language of energy, bees never arrive by accident. A beehive on your home is not just a natural event. It's a spiritual signal, a living mirror, a message from the unseen forces around you. In ancient wisdom, bees are considered messengers between heaven and earth, drawn only to places where the energy is stable, open, and charged with potential. So the question is not, why is there a hive? But what is it trying to tell you? Could it be a sign of incoming fortune, or a warning that something inside your home, or your life, is out of alignment? Is this a blessing that you're ignoring, or a subtle invitation to change? In this video, we'll explore the deeper meanings behind bee nests in or around your home, what they reflect, why they appear in specific spots, and what actions you must take before it's too late. Because whether you believe in signs or not, your home is always speaking. The only real question is, are you listening? Part 1. A hive beneath the eaves, when heaven's energy begins to settle. You might not notice it at first. Maybe it's a soft buzzing in the morning air. Maybe it's a flicker of motion above your head just outside your line of sight. But then you look up, and there it is. A beehive nestled right beneath the eaves of your roof, quiet but very much alive. For many, it's just a maintenance issue, a call to pest control. But for those who pay attention to energy, to subtle signs, and how the universe whispers rather than shouts, a hive beneath the eaves is something else entirely. It's not just a structure of wax and wings. It's a signal that heaven's energy has begun to settle in your home. In Feng Shui, the eaves of a house are not just architectural features. They are the outermost threshold where external energy, cosmic, natural, spiritual, first touches your space. They are the skin of the house, the place where weather and wind meet shelter. And when bees choose this exact location to build, it tells us something critical. This house, right now, holds the kind of frequency that calls energy inward. Not chaotic energy, not stagnant energy, but a quiet magnetism, a kind of stillness that attracts what is ready to become. Bees are highly sensitive creatures. They don't nest where there is noise, confusion, aggression, or disarray. They choose structure, order, clean vibrational fields. If you found a hive under your eaves, it means your home is pulsing with a kind of calm strength, one that nature recognizes. And if you're honest with yourself, you may have already felt it too. Maybe your sleep has improved. Maybe there's been less tension in the air. Maybe things are starting to move in your life, but in subtle, almost invisible ways. The kind of shifts you only notice in hindsight. A beehive under the eaves marks the beginning of these shifts, the early wind of a new cycle, but only if you are willing to meet it halfway. The energy entering through the eaves is called heaven chi, not in a religious sense, but in the way ancient wisdom describes the movement of life force. It's the support that comes from beyond your own willpower. It's timing, synchronicity, the unexpected phone call, the coincidence that feels like more than chance. When bees settle here, they are anchoring that kind of support into your life. They are saying, this space is ready, this person is becoming receptive. But here's the part that many ignore. Heaven's energy can only enter if there is space, both literally and emotionally. A cluttered roofline, broken gutters, a home weighed down with unresolved tension, these block the flow. The hive may still form, but it won't last. Or worse, the bees will leave. And when they go, they take that signal with them. This is not superstition, it's awareness. It's looking beyond the surface and asking deeper questions. If bees have come to your eaves, ask yourself, what am I being prepared for? What shift is ready to land if I stop resisting? Have I made space for something new, or am I just wishing without opening the door? In practical terms, this is the time to do 3 things. First, observe. Don't react with fear or urgency. Watch how the bees move. Are they calm, active? Do they stay through wind and rain? A steady hive is a good sign. Second, physically clear the space. Even if you don't touch the hive, clean the area around it. Remove cobwebs, clear leaves. Symbolically, this shows you're cooperating with what's arriving. Third, mentally prepare. This could be the start of a new chapter, especially one involving outside support. People you didn't expect, opportunities you weren't planning for but are exactly right. Many people miss this moment. They're too busy, too skeptical, too reactive. They call the exterminator and think they've solved the problem when in truth they've interrupted a message. But for those who pause, who listen, who ask, why here, why now? Something opens. Not just a window in the roofline, but a door within. The house becomes more than walls. It becomes a receiver, a collaborator with the life you're trying to build. So if you've noticed a hive beneath your eaves, stop for a moment. Really stop. Don't Google, don't react, just feel. There is something rare about this sign, something that doesn't happen often and only chooses the homes and the people who are ready to hear, to change, to rise. Because in the quiet geometry of a beehive, in the perfectly aligned chambers built one by one in sacred rhythm, is a reminder. Order can return. Life can rebuild. And sometimes, when the timing is right, heaven itself leans in just a little closer to a roofline where stillness lives and begins to whisper back. Part 2, a hive near the front door, when prosperity is waiting at the threshold. A beehive near the front door is never just a coincidence. It's a statement, a direct message from the flow of energy that surrounds your home and your life. In Feng Shui, the front door isn't simply where you enter and exit. It's called the mouth of the house. It's where energy breathes, where fortune, relationships, ideas, and opportunities either enter your life or bounce off before they ever get to you. So when bees decide to build their hive right beside this portal, especially on the left-hand side when viewed from inside looking out, the position known as the green dragon, it is one of the clearest signs that something powerful is trying to enter your life. But here's the twist. Just because opportunity is knocking doesn't mean you're ready to answer. A beehive near the front door is like an energetic highlighter. It draws a circle around your current state, around the openness or resistance within your space. If your entryway is cluttered, if the air feels stagnant, if the household is tense, that doorway becomes blocked. The hive may form, but prosperity won't cross the threshold. It'll stay at the edge, waiting, hovering like the bees themselves, dancing in place. Bees don't waste time. They build where they sense order, safety, and strong forward movement. Their appearance near your door means that the energy is almost aligned, but not quite. This is often when you start to feel like things are about to happen, yet somehow they don't. Promising interviews that go nowhere. Conversations full of potential that quietly dissolve. Projects that begin then stall. The beehive is pointing to the blockage, not to frustrate you, but to invite your attention. So what can you do? First, look at your actual front door. Is it welcoming? Is it clean? Does it open fully, or is it jammed, blocked by shoes, boxes, or forgotten mail? These may seem like small things, but energy flows like breath. It needs space. Sweep the entrance. Add fresh light. Place a healthy, round-leafed plant nearby, which in Feng Shui supports the retention and circulation of wealth energy. Second, observe how people feel when they visit. Do they linger or rush out? Does your home feel like it invites people in or warns them away? But more importantly, reflect on your own inner doorway. Are you truly open to receive? Or are you asking for prosperity while holding on to fear, doubt, or self-sabotage? Because sometimes the door isn't just physical, it's emotional. You can have a beautiful home, but if your energy says, "I'm not ready," abundance listens to that. A beehive near the front door is like a gentle tap on the shoulder from the universe. It's saying, "You're close, so close," but something small, maybe even invisible, is still blocking the path. Maybe it's unresolved family tension. Maybe it's a belief you're still clinging to. Maybe it's a part of yourself you've outgrown but haven't yet released. The bees won't tell you exactly what it is, but they will show you where to look. In many cases, after clearing and aligning the front door space, people report subtle but significant changes. New clients, long-awaited approvals, surprise gifts, a sense of ease returning to relationships. These aren't random. They are what was already approaching, just waiting for permission to land. So if a hive has appeared near your front door, don't rush to remove it. First, ask, what am I keeping out? What am I finally ready to let in? Because prosperity isn't just money, it's momentum. And sometimes it stands quietly at your door, asking for entry. Not with a shout, but with the hum of wings and the promise of sweet beginnings. Part 3, bees circling the kitchen, when family nourishment is being tested. When bees begin to circle your kitchen, it's easy to overlook. A window left open, a sugary scent in the air, simple explanations. But in the language of energy, nothing in the heart of your home happens by accident. The kitchen, in Feng Shui, is more than where meals are prepared. It's the center of nourishment, warmth, and stability. It reflects how a household supports itself, physically, emotionally, and financially. So when bees start showing up here, hovering near countertops, landing near stoves, it's a signal that something vital is shifting beneath the surface. Bees are drawn to life force, not just food, but warmth, harmony, and vibrational cohesion. They don't gather around places that are ignored, cold, or emotionally tense. If your kitchen has gone silent, used only out of necessity, disconnected from love or intention, the arrival of bees is a wake-up call. They are reflecting that the energy of nourishment is either trying to rise or is being tested. Maybe the meals feel rushed. Maybe everyone eats at different times in different rooms. Maybe the kitchen has become a place of silence or worse, subtle resentment. This doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just a drawer you avoid opening, a fridge full but uninspiring, a table no one sits at anymore. The bees feel that, and they circle as if asking, is this still the center of your home or has something begun to drift? Feng Shui teaches that the kitchen reflects not only family bonds, but financial health. The fire element of the stove feeds both body and fortune. A thriving kitchen invites wealth, not just income, but steady, nourishing abundance. But when the kitchen energy drops, that steadiness often falters. Bills feel heavier, plans feel stuck. The feeling of not enough, time, money, closeness starts to echo through the house. So if bees are hovering in your kitchen, pause before you swat them away. Ask yourself, what's trying to be seen here? When was the last time the kitchen felt alive, not just functional, but loved? Have you cleared the counters, opened a window, invited light in? Have you cooked not because you had to, but because you wanted to feed life back into the space? Sometimes, the most powerful energetic shifts begin with simple acts. Lighting a candle while you chop vegetables, putting on music while you stir a pot, setting the table even if you're eating alone. These gestures recalibrate the space. They tell the energy, this home is alive. This family, no matter how spread out, is still connected. And if you're feeling distant from loved ones, emotionally or physically, the bees may be showing up as bridges. Their appearance is often followed by reconnection. An unexpected phone call, a chance to cook together, a memory that softens the silence. In this way, the kitchen becomes what it was always meant to be. Not a room, but a pulse, a living heartbeat of the home. So don't ignore the bees. They come not to disturb, but to reflect. They ask no questions, make no demands. They simply circle where warmth once lived and perhaps could live again. If they choose your kitchen, ask yourself one thing. Is it time to bring the fire back, not just to the stove, but to the heart of the home? Because in the language of bees, where they land is where energy wants to return. Part 4, a bee landing on you, when the universe is responding to your frequency. It happens in an instant. You're outside, maybe in the garden, maybe just walking to your car, and you feel the lightest brush against your skin. A bee lands, soft, deliberate, almost still. It doesn't sting. It doesn't panic. It simply rests there as if it's always belonged. You hold your breath, frozen between awe and uncertainty, waiting for what comes next, but nothing does. Just that stillness, just that connection, and then, just as quietly, it flies away. In the language of energy, this is not random. A bee landing on you without aggression is one of the most sacred encounters you can have with the natural world. Because bees are not drawn to chaos. They do not engage with unstable fields. Their entire survival depends on precise vibrations, clean signals, calm environments. So when a bee chooses your body, your energy field, as a safe place to pause, it means something is being recognized. Your frequency is aligned. Something in you is clear, balanced, and open. In Feng Shui terms, this is called harmonic energy flow. It's a state in which your thoughts, emotions, and inner environment are not at war with each other. You're not pretending to be calm, you are calm. You're not forcing joy, you're creating space for it. And this harmony doesn't just affect your mood. It broadcasts, it ripples outward. Animals, children, strangers, somehow they know, and so do bees. A bee landing on you is the universe responding to your frequency. It's a nod from nature, a quiet confirmation that you are in a place, physically, mentally, spiritually, where transformation can begin. You may be on the edge of a breakthrough, a new opportunity, a shift in your path, a deep inner healing. But more importantly, you are energetically ready to receive it, not just desiring change, but resonating with it. And what makes this moment so profound is its gentleness. There is no force, no urgency. The bee doesn't cling, it doesn't push. It arrives, rests, and leaves, just like opportunities often do, just like clarity, just like grace. These things do not demand your attention, they invite it. They ask, will you be present or distracted? Will you honor the moment or miss it? If a bee lands on you, do not brush it off. Don't make it smaller than it is. Instead, take it as a mirror. Ask yourself, what part of me is finally calm enough to attract peace? What decision am I ready to make that I wasn't before? What am I radiating, consciously or not, that is drawing gentleness toward me? You don't have to answer immediately, but you do have to notice. Because when the universe speaks this quietly, it's usually saying something important. And if you've reached the point in your journey where even the bees trust your energy, you're closer than you think. To change, to clarity, to something new and quietly powerful that's already on its way. Part 5, a hive facing west, when finances may be quietly leaking out. You may not notice it at first. The hive is small, tucked quietly along a west-facing window or balcony. It doesn't seem aggressive. The bees come and go with a steady rhythm, barely making a sound. But in Feng Shui, where things are placed, and in which direction they face, carries meaning deeper than surface appearances. And when a beehive settles on the west side of your home, it's time to pay attention. Because while it may seem harmless, the energy here points to something more concerning, a quiet, steady leak in your financial flow. The western side of the home is linked to long-term wealth, accumulated assets, and the material fruits of one's work, especially savings, retirement, and real estate. It's not the fast money of sudden windfalls. It's the slow build of value over time. And when bees choose this side to build their home, especially if the hive is facing outward or seems fragile, it may be signaling that this flow is reversing. Not through dramatic loss, but through a slow erosion, one that goes unnoticed until the drain becomes undeniable. You might feel it as a vague sense that your money isn't going as far as it used to. That no matter how carefully you budget, something always slips through. You might be earning the same or even more, but the feeling of security doesn't land. You're covering bills, yet your savings never grow. You finish projects but feel no progress. The hive is there, but the energy isn't staying. In Feng Shui, the West belongs to the metal element, associated with value, structure, and containment. It's the vault, the safe, the long-game strategy. When this area is left unprotected or imbalanced, wealth becomes difficult to hold. Energy slips out subtly. It might show up as repeated small expenses, missed investment opportunities, or a string of almosts that never quite turn into returns. And the beehive becomes a living metaphor, something once full of potential, now leaking energy instead of storing it. But this isn't a message of doom. It's an invitation to intervene gently, wisely, and with full awareness. First, examine the hive's direction. Is it built facing inward, tucked safely under protection? Or is it exposed, fragile, pointed toward the outside world? A hive that opens outward often mirrors wealth that is trying to leave. Next, observe the area itself. Is your west-facing space cluttered, dusty, neglected? Is it filled with broken tools, dead plants, forgotten items? These are signs of stagnation, and stagnation is the gateway to loss. To shift the energy, begin with simple physical changes. Clean the area thoroughly. Remove dead or unused objects. Place something grounding, a round-leaf plant in a clay pot, a metal wind chime, or thick curtains to buffer the flow. These aren't decorative, they're functional energy anchors. Their role is to hold the chi to contain what would otherwise slip away. And then shift inward. Ask yourself, where am I not paying attention in my finances? Am I avoiding certain truths about spending, saving, or boundaries? Am I giving out more than I receive, overextending, or undervaluing my time and worth? Because financial energy is not just numbers, it's integrity. It's your relationship with security and whether you feel safe enough to keep what you've worked for. If the hive feels like a warning, trust that. But also trust this. The moment you recognize a leak, you can begin to seal it. Energy responds to awareness. The bees came to show you what you couldn't see, not to harm, but to reflect. And when that reflection is honored, everything begins to shift. So if there's a hive on the west side of your home, take it seriously, not with fear, but with clarity. This is your chance to tighten the circle, to protect what matters, and to remind the energy around you that this is a home where abundance is welcome, and where it knows how to stay. Part 6. A dead bee indoors, when the energy has turned stagnant without warning. You find it by accident. A single bee lying still on the windowsill or in a quiet corner of the room. There's no sign of struggle, no movement, no sound. Just silence. You pause for a moment, maybe sweep it away, maybe don't think much of it. But in the world of energy, especially within the sensitive language of Feng Shui, a dead bee inside the house is never just a coincidence. It's a quiet alarm, a signal that something once alive, vibrationally, emotionally, energetically, has stopped flowing. And more importantly, that it has stopped without you even noticing. Bees are messengers between worlds. Their sensitivity to vibration, to life force, is profound. They do not survive in low-frequency environments. So when a bee enters your home and dies, without trauma, without cause, it is reflecting something deeper in the space. A kind of energetic stagnation, a lack of movement, an atmosphere where vitality has dulled. And often the people inside are too distracted, too burdened, or too emotionally weighed down to see it happening. This kind of energetic block doesn't arrive like a storm. It creeps in slowly, one forgotten corner at a time, one unresolved conversation, one closed window, one intention that faded into numb routine. Before long, the air feels heavier. You wake up tired but don't know why. You begin to avoid certain rooms. The home looks the same but feels different, duller, more still than quiet, more stuck than peaceful. In Feng Shui, this is what we call blocked qi, the life energy no longer circulating. It often comes after extended stress, emotional avoidance, or a lack of cleansing, both physically and energetically. Homes, like people, need renewal. When that renewal stops, energy sinks. And when it sinks too far, it can suffocate the invisible forces that keep everything alive, including visiting messengers like bees. So what should you do if you find a dead bee indoors? First, don't dismiss it. Pause, ask yourself, what in my life has gone silent without me noticing? What space in my home or in my inner world feels abandoned, neglected, or heavy? This isn't about superstition, it's about awareness. The bee died quietly, but its message is loud if you're willing to listen. Begin with the basics. Clean the room where it was found. Open windows, let light and air move through. Sweep the corners, literally and symbolically. Burn incense or diffuse pure essential oils, something with movement like eucalyptus or citrus. These actions don't just cleanse the space, they signal a reset. They say, this house breathes again. Then take it deeper. Look for emotional or spiritual stagnation. Have you been holding in grief, avoiding decisions, postponing rest? What conversations need to be had, what endings need to be honored, what routines need to be released? Stuck energy builds silently, but it exits through intention. A single bee might seem like nothing, but its death inside your home can mirror the quiet death of clarity, inspiration, or vitality. Don't wait until it spreads. Use it as a moment to wake up to your space, your habits, your thoughts. Reconnect with what you've been ignoring. Because in the eyes of nature, nothing dies without meaning. And sometimes the most powerful signs don't arrive with lightning, but with a still body and a silent room asking, will you choose to come back to life before something essential fades too far? Part 7. Bees appearing on your birthday when destiny quietly knocks. It's your birthday. A quiet morning may be filled with reflection, maybe just another day. You're not expecting anything unusual until you notice it. A bee hovering nearby, then another. Maybe it lands on your windowsill. Maybe it circles the room once before flying away. It's subtle, almost dismissible. But if bees appear on your birthday, don't ignore it. Because in the world of energy, timing is everything. And a bee arriving on the day you were born is not just a moment. It's a message, a sign that destiny is gently knocking. Birthdays are energetic thresholds. They mark the closing of one cycle and the opening of another. Your personal frequency on that day is heightened. Your emotions are closer to the surface. Your energy field more sensitive. Whether you celebrate or not, something in you is listening more closely than usual. And in Feng Shui and spiritual traditions alike, these thresholds are powerful moments of potential change. The veil is thinner. The messages come easier. And when bees appear during this time, it means your energy is being seen, acknowledged, and mirrored by the universe. Bees, as messengers between heaven and earth, don't show up randomly. If they choose this specific day, it means your inner frequency is aligned with something important. It may be that you're standing on the edge of a shift, an opportunity, a decision, or a new direction that will define the next chapter of your life. And the bees are here to mark that doorway. Their appearance may also signal that unseen forces are with you. Protection, blessing, guidance from ancestors or spiritual allies. It's as if the natural world is leaning in just a little closer, reminding you, you are not alone, and this moment matters. Especially if you've been uncertain, questioning your path, or wondering if what you're feeling is real. The bees bring quiet confirmation. Yes, it is. So what should you do if bees appear on your birthday? First, don't rush to explain it away. Sit with the moment. Ask yourself, what is beginning to rise in me? What am I ready to leave behind? What part of my story feels like it's closing, and what wants to open? You don't need all the answers, but you do need to make space for the questions. Then, acknowledge the energy. Light a candle, speak a small intention aloud, or simply whisper thank you to whatever force sent the sign. These gestures, though simple, are powerful. They ground the moment. They tell the universe, I see the door and I'm ready to step through. Bees appearing on your birthday may also reflect an inner ripening, a readiness you've been sensing but couldn't quite name. Perhaps your resilience has deepened, your heart has softened, your clarity has sharpened. These inner shifts often go unnoticed until the outer world mirrors them back, and bees are one of nature's most precise mirrors. If the timing feels uncanny, if their presence stirs something in you, trust it. Your life may be aligning in ways you can't yet see. Doors may be opening quietly. Helpers may be on their way. And the future may be closer than you think, waiting just beyond the threshold of your awareness. So if you see bees on your birthday, don't ask, why me? Instead, ask, why now? Because the answer may be this: the universe knows you're ready even if you don't yet believe it. And the bees, they're just here to make sure you don't miss the invitation. Final, what if the beehive wasn't the main message, but just the opening line? Now that you've followed these signs, the hive under the eaves, the buzz by your front door, the bees circling your kitchen, landing gently on your hand, appearing on your birthday, or even the quiet tragedy of a bee found lifeless indoors, you might begin to see that none of it was random. You might even realize the bees weren't coming to deliver a message. They were responding to one already being sent by you. Feng Shui is not about superstition. It's not about being afraid of signs or chasing fortune. At its core, it's the study of relationship, the way you relate to space, to time, to movement, to stillness. It's the language of invisible patterns, and bees are fluent in that language. They don't read calendars or floor plans. They read frequency. They follow coherence, calm, harmony. So when they appear, they are reacting to what already exists, to the quality of energy your home and your life has begun to emit. This is why their presence is so powerful, because it reveals what you may have forgotten to notice: that your space is alive, that your choices echo beyond the surface, that your inner state has a vibration, and your home is listening. Whether the message is a blessing, a nudge, or a warning, it comes with an invitation to become more aware, more intentional, more present. To look around not just at where the bees land, but what they're landing for. Are you open to change? Are you aligned with peace? Are you leaking energy or holding it with care? Nothing in your home appears in isolation. Not light, not sound, not bees. Every small event holds a frequency. And when you start to pay attention to the smallest ones, you start to unlock the bigger ones. So if the bees have come to you, stay still for a moment. Not out of fear, but respect. Something has begun to shift. And the real question now isn't what they're bringing. It's what they're reflecting. And whether you're ready to receive what's already making its way to your door.